So, as we discussed in our last session, we have been talking about inheritance, and we know the importance of inheritance, how to use it, what is the syntax to create an inheritance relationship between two classes, and the idea behind the inheritance. And we got some code examples about inheritance. Okay, so today we will continue. Let me share my screen with you. You can see my screen?
Yep, I can.
Okay. Do you have any question about we discussed in inheritance?
It's pretty straightforward, I think.
It's easy,
Yeah.
right? Okay, great. So let me show you some stuff like
Oh yeah, what's that question?
I want to get a deeper explanation in some
I just have a
topics
question.
related to inheritance.
I
So
just
if
have a
you don't have
question.
a question,
Yeah, I have a question.
tell me. I couldn't hear you.
Oh, why should we put the parameters of when we can just list them below?
Why we put parameters here in the constructor, you mean?
We had the difference between the parameters and this list. Like we just put student dot George, student dot address, student dot.
You mean student dot
Yeah,
name.
that's easy. That's probably easier to do that.
No, it's not about easy or difficult. You mean like it's easier for you to say student dot name,
Yeah.
student dot address, for example. You
Hmm.
mean this one is easier for you instead of passing the values to the
Yeah.
parameter as a
Yeah, it's
parameter
easy.
in the constructor like this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, maybe it's easy for you, but it's not about easy or difficult. It's about my requirements as a programmer. Okay.
Uh,
Like, for example, it doesn't make any sense for me that I will have a student object without assigning a name to the student. Okay. So if my constructor here has no argument, it will be optional for me to call name, address, and assign values to name and address. Okay.
mm, yeah.
But I don't want it optional. I want
You
it
get it.
to be mandatory.
What about
Okay.
student dot
Yeah,
address
how to
equals?
make it mandatory to
What about
pass
student?
values for name, for both name and address every time I create a new object from student class. How
Mhm.
can I make it?
What about student dot name equal name or student dot name equals Fred or student dot address equals address for?
Like here in my student class, okay,
Hmm.
I already have student ID and I inherit name and address from my parent class person. Okay, so here student class has name, address, and student ID. Here in this constructor, we take three parameters, name, address, and student ID. I pass name and address to my parent constructor using the keyword super, and we will talk more in details about super keyword today. Okay, and then last, the variable or the field that I have only for student is the student ID, and I set the value I'm getting in the constructor. I set it to my field here called student ID. So this is my way to receive values for my class properties as mandatory fields. Look at this constructor. Here I call it in my main. Look, this one is my constructor where I pass name and address and the student. So all these values are mandatory. I cannot skip any of them. Like here, if I delete this student ID, I get an error because all of them are required.
Okay.
But if I keep my constructor as no arguments, it will be optional for you to pass a value to name or to address or to student ID. I don't want it to be optional. I want it to be required. I want it mandatory. You understand?
Can you just do like name student dot name equals George, student dot address equals address 3. Then no, eh?
Like this.
Yeah,
Student
student
name
equals George. Yeah, that's
George. So what's the use of this line now?
instead of the parameter. Is it not good?
It's not about not good. Like, let me show you an example. Just don't want to change this code for now. But let me create a new class. Okay. Java class. Code example. And okay. This animal has let's say name again. Age. Whatever. Okay. And I will create a method display name. Okay. Here I say my animal name is name. Okay. It's very simple. Animal class has two property, name and age, and then one function as print statement, printing the name of this animal. Okay.
Yeah.
If I come here in my main method, okay, as you can see here in my animal class, I have no constructor. Okay. So I can create an object without passing any value. Here I will create an animal object. Okay, equal new animal. Okay. As you can see, my constructor here is empty. But instead of saying animal dot name equal blah blah blah, okay, I will call animal dot display name. What will happen?
The method, it'll call the method.
Yeah, it will call the method called display name. And display name here is telling my animal name is, and then expecting a value for the name here. Like this variable is called here or is used here. Let's run and see what. Look, my animal name is null. Is this what you expect when you run
Yep.
a program like that?
Yes.
Why I see my animal name is null?
Because you didn't name it
Yeah, because
initially.
I didn't set any value for the name. I could call the display name method without even assigning a value to the name, right?
Yep.
Okay. So here, to make this program work correctly, I should, before calling the display name method, I should come here and say animal dot name equal any whatever. Okay, so when I run one more time, yeah, my name is whatever. Okay, so to avoid this confusion, I will just force passing name value to the constructor. How to do it? Here, I will create a constructor for the animal, and I will make it take one parameter called name. And then inside the constructor body, I will set whatever value I receive in the constructor, I will set it to my variable name here, okay? So I say this dot name equal name. This name on the right is whatever value I pass to the constructor, okay? This dot name, the one on the left side, is this property or this variable inside my animal class, okay? So this line, I store this value inside this variable. So I can use it here, for example, in display name method. You understand?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's try one more time, but before we should pass here a name to the constructor of animal class. So here I call it my animal, not my animal. Whatever. When I run again, look, my animal name is any name, the one received here in the constructor. So as you can see here, I forced you to pass a value to the name while creating the object of animal class. So here, I'm pretty sure when I call the display name method, it will be working fine. I assure that all values I need to make this function work or to make this class functions work correctly, I already got it here in the constructor. You understand? I can't guarantee this in the first case.
Yeah, I understand.
You understand now? Okay.
Yeah, it's more clear.
Okay, great. By time and practice, you will even have more clearer
That's
vision.
cleaner. The
Yeah.
parameters is cleaner. It's cleaner way, right?
Yeah. Any other questions?
No, it's cleaner, right? It's a cleaner way of doing it.
It's cleaner way, and it's up to you. Because you know, like here, you know that name is mandatory. It depends upon your logic that you want to apply. Like here, for example, animal. In my case, I want each and every animal to have a name. Okay. So this name, I want to make it mandatory. I want each and every animal object to have a value for the name. That's why I force you to send a value to the name variable here in the constructor. But if I have any optional like age, it's okay. Like for me, for example, I don't want age to be mandatory. I want to make it optional. It's up to you. Whether you set a value for the age or not, it's up to you. So I make it optional.
It's
So here,
if it's not optional, then
if
you have to
it's
put
not
it in the
optional,
parameter.
if it's not optional, you should put it as a parameter in the constructor.
Oh, that makes
Because,
sense. Yeah.
without sending a value here in any name, this animal object will never work because it will give me an error. Like here, just try to cut this. Look, it gives me an error. Expected one argument. So this argument is a name. Without this value here, this object will never work. This way I made the name mandatory. But age for me is not really important, so I leave it as optional. So here, after displaying name, I can say animal dot age equal 5. This age for me is not really important. That's why I leave it as optional. But name, no, I want each animal object to have a value for them. Now you
Okay.
understand?
Yeah, I understand now. Yeah, it's more clear. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, great. So let's begin discussing the let's continue our discussion. Yesterday, we mentioned that super keyword, we use it to refer to our parent class. Here in this case, it's person class, okay? In our student class, we have to call the parent constructor, the person constructor, okay, to pass name and address. And again, it's the same idea. Why I put name and address here in the constructor of person? Because I want these fields to be mandatory. I want each person to have a name and address, like this way, okay?
Mhm.
So I had to send these mandatory parameters to my parent class. So I did this using the super keyword. And as you can see, when I use super and then I put two brackets like this, it means that I'm calling the parent constructor, okay? When I click on this super, it redirect me to the person constructor, okay? Okay,
Yes.
okay. Let me ask you, is the only use of super keyword is to call or to make it a reference to parent constructor only? Is this the only usage?
Is it only usage?
Yeah, for the super keyword, let me tell you, it's not. I can use super keyword even to, refer to fields like name, address, whatever, and even for functions of the parent class. Let's try and see. Here in my student class, I have a method called display address. And inside this display address, I have a print statement. My address is address. This address, the value I get, let's run like here. Where is my other? I just comment this for now, so you will not get confused. Okay, so here I have student object, okay, which has name George, address string, okay, and student ID. Then I call say hello. Now after the say hello, I call student dot display address. If I run this program, I got my name is George, okay, because here I passed George as a name, and then my address is address string, because here in the address I passed address string in the student constructor, okay?
Yeah,
Right?
makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, and here in the student constructor, I already passed the name and address, okay, to my parent person class. And here this display address just displayed whatever values we passed to. Okay. What if here I will go back to person? Here in this address, I will give a value like my person address. Okay. Let's go back to student class. Here in my display address, I don't want to display the address that I receive in the student class. I want to display the address of my person, my parents. How to do it? Very simple. I will just, instead of saying address, I will say super.address. Let's run again and see what will happen. Notice that here I didn't change any. Wait, sorry. Okay, sorry. I forgot to. Not the name, the address. Look here in my main method, I didn't change any value here. Like again, I still pass George, I still pass address rate, I pass student ID, okay? But here, the result is different. I didn't get my address is address 3. I got my address is my person address. Where did I get the value of my person address? I got it here from my person class. Here, I set address equal my person address. Okay, understand?
Yeah.
Okay, great. That one usage of super keyword, okay, with variables or with fields. What if I want to use super with functions? It has use with function. I will just show you a quick example, but like I prefer to talk in details about this when we discuss overrides. Okay, I will just show you now quickly. Like say hello. Since say hello exists in my parent class, I can call it here in my child class. Okay. What if I want exactly the same behavior of this say hello in the parent class, not in the child class? Again, what will happen is I will call super.say. You understand? Okay, but we will like, let's keep this for later when we discuss about overrides. Okay, we will discuss it in more details. Just for now, I want you to know that super can be used to mention uh, methods or variables or even constructs. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, great. Now I want to talk to you about important concept called casting. Have you ever heard this expression called casting in programming? Do you know the idea behind casting?
No. Yeah, you transform one word, one variable to
Yeah, exactly. You make some transformation, okay,
Mhm.
of objects type to another type. You make transformation of object type to another type. Let me show you this. Here, the versions that you are familiar with is that I say, for example, if I want to create an object of person, I will say person equal new person, right? And then in my person constructor, I will pass name, Sarah, and address. Next name, new address. So this one you are already familiar with, right? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, let me tell you, can I transform one of the childs of person? Can I transform it to a person? Like, can
You
I
can
transform a student to be treated as a person? Can I transform employee to be treated as a person? It makes sense,
Not
right?
really.
Why not?
Yeah.
Student at the end is person, right?
Yep.
You understand?
Yep. Okay.
Okay, so here, for example, here instead of new person, I will just make a trick. I will remove this person and I make it a new student. It gives me an error because student again need student ID, and here we have only name and address. So I will give a student ID. Once I gave student ID, wow, voila, it's working. I said person equal new student, and still it's working. Do you know what is the difference between this one and this one? This one is a student. This one is also student. But again, student at the end is a person. So I can treat this student as a person, not as a student. You understand?
Kind of, yeah.
Encode, okay. This will make me access fields that only exist in person, but I will give it the values for my students. Like here, if I say person dot, look, I have address, I have name, I have say hello, but I don't have the fields that only exist in students. Like here, I don't have a student ID. Look, I don't have access to student ID. And I don't have access to display address or display student ID. I don't have. Why? Because this student is treated as a person. So person doesn't have to have a student ID. But when I say here person dot say hello, I will get the name of the student. Let's see. Hello, my name is Star. Okay, so here using this transformation trick, I can only access the fields or members that exist in person, not in students, but with the values of the student. You understand?
Yep.
Okay. You should be very careful while dealing with it because the opposite, okay, can lead to some errors. Let me, this process called casting. This is called casting. Let me show you how this casting could lead to some errors. I will here create a function, public static void function. I will call it show my person. Okay, and this function will take a parameter of the type person. Okay, inside my show my person, I will try to create a new object of my student class. I will call it my student equal P. P is the person I received here as a parameter in my show my person method. Look, it gives me an error. It tells me now you are trying to create a student object, but you are getting a person class. Remember, not all persons should be students. Some persons are employees. Some persons are managers. Some persons are unemployed, right? Not all persons should be students. So it gives me an error. It's telling me you are trying to convert a person to be treated as a student. You cannot guarantee that you will always receive your person as a student. Okay, to overcome this
Yeah.
error, I will just make this student casting telling compiler that I'm sure I will receive a student. I'm sure that the person is a student. Okay,
Yeah.
here I will say my student dot uh, student display student ID. Okay, you understand? Now I will
Yep.
try to call this show my person, and I will pass this student to show my person. Okay, run. Here our student ID is 345. So my program run smoothly. I got hello, my name is blah blah blah. And my student ID is 345. Okay, I got it from him. But so yeah, like it's working fine. I passed a student object to my show my person function, which like here I ensured that the person is a student and I could call the display student ID and it worked fine. What if here I will try to create an employee object equal new employee and pass name employee imp and address whatever. Okay. And then I will try again to call show my person, but this time I will pass employee. Look, employee is a person. So show my person method accepts person object. So it has no objection that I passed here an employee, because employee at the end is a person.
Or student, what about student?
Yeah, but here, look here. When I get to execute the body of show my person, I forced the program to expect the student. Here in this line and in this part, in this casting part, I forced it. I told him, trust me, I'm very sure that I will receive a student. The person will be a student. Just trust me, rely on me. Every time you will receive a person, this person will be a student. Okay, let's run and see what will happen. Look, I got an exception of type class cast exception, telling me that I cannot cast employee as a student. Look, class
Okay.
employee cannot be cast to class students. Here, this line caused the problem. Why? Because I tried to treat employee as a student. So you should be very careful while dealing with casting. Okay? And this is a good entry point to discuss the exception handling, but we will not explain this now. We will do it later. So here I will put to do explain exception handling. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
I know somehow it's complex, but you should know it because it's common to do casting in Java.
Okay.
And I don't want you to get confused when you see a line like this where you say person equal new student, or you are trying to transform a class to another. I don't
And
want
you can do
to get
primitive.
confused. I don't
You
want
can
you to get confused when you see a line like that. Okay?
and you can cast primitive values as well, right?
Yes, you can cast primitive values. Like for example, float could be casted to integer. Both of them are numbers, right?
Yeah, but you lose value, you lose data or not?
Not losing data, but it will make approximate, like the decimal value will not get displayed, because you are casting float to integer. And if you cast integer to float, dot 0 will be added to the value. You can try on your own. This consider it as an assignment. Okay, try to play with casting stuff with different types. Okay, and show me what will happen with you. Well, you have any questions?
No.
For me, I'm done for today, and I will see you in the next session.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're most welcome, brother. See you. Bye bye.
Yes. Bye-bye.